Good afternoon, everyone. This is Natasha Telger with Illinois WorkNet. Thank you for joining us today. We are happy to have SPR Associates with us today to go over the accelerated training for Illinois manufacturing evaluation information. And so before we get started, before I turn it over to them, I just want to go over a couple items. If you are together logged in and you have multiple people at your location, if you could just list the people that are with you, just so that we know who's joining us today. And if you have any trouble any time with the audio, with listening through your computer speakers, you can always dial in to our 866-821-1611 number that's listed up at the top. You do not need a PIN, so you can dial in at any time as needed. Today we will use a PowerPoint, and you see that on your screen. You'll see at the top upper right-hand corner of that PowerPoint section, it says full screen. So if you need it to be larger at any time, you can click on full screen. And to restore it back to the size that it is now, you just click on that button again. Please do ask questions in the chat pod. We will be collecting those questions, and as we go through, if we can answer them, or if they can answer them at the time, we'll go ahead and answer them then. But please know that we will be collecting your questions to make sure that you'll get your answer. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, hello, my name is Tyler Mawazit. I'm with Social Policy Research Associates. I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon for you guys. The point of this webinar right now is, again, a little bit of a refresher on some key points about the study, and also to sort of update a little bit about the procedures specifically around conducting random assignment, because there have been a few changes in how the random assignment system and the ATIM system and Illinois WorkNet, how they're going to communicate, and in the end will make things much simpler. But we just want to make sure that everybody is clear on how these procedures should be going, especially since a lot of you were trained a while ago with different procedures. So again, that's really the point of this. It should be pretty basic stuff. Most of this is just sort of reminder information, and then I'll just do a quick demonstration of the slight change to how you'll be conducting random assignment. So we can get started. So as you can see from the agenda, we're going to start off with a little bit about data security practices. Just remind everyone about the mailing schedule, because again, it may have been a little bit of time since that happened. The check-in call reminder for each of you to do with sort of your regional study liaison. Talk a little bit about the revised consent to participate form. Clarify eligibility, and then just do a quick sort of update on the random assignment procedures. Okay, so quickly, a lot of us, when we did the training, this is sort of at the very end of the training program, and I know some of us had to move through it kind of quickly, but I think it's really important for us to re-emphasize the importance of data security. We at SPR and the other study liaisons are responsible for data security, and we do take this very seriously. We were reviewed by IRB, and as part of allowing this study to go forward using human subjects, we, as the study team, had to sign and promise that we would abide by certain data security and study, requirements, primarily around proper informed consent and the protection of PII, personal identifiable information. So, again, it's really important, and one of the really important things is, please, we're going to talk about study IDs, and whenever you're emailing your study liaison, we don't want to use social security numbers. We just want to use that study ID and first and last initial to identify a study participant, saying, okay, if there is a problem with an individual, or I don't know if this person is eligible, or I'm having trouble, can you help me randomly assign them? The study ID number and first and last initial will help us identify that individual without conveying any PII. There's also a data security checklist that is in Appendix C of the Procedures Manual, which we'll look at in a second. And something that's also really important is some of you in some sections may have received an email from your study liaison asking for contact information for everyone who is doing some aspect of the study. The three important pieces being providing the study orientation and obtaining informed consent, conducting random assignment, and then notifying that individual of their group assignment. Those are the three sort of key study positions, and for us as being responsible for this, we would like to have the information, the name and contact information for everyone who will be doing that, each of those roles at each site. For those conducting random assignment, we already have that information as we created RAS accounts for each of those individuals. But if there are different people conducting the orientation and or notifying customers of their group assignment, we would also like to have their information. And again, it's not the main purpose being that if for some reason down the road there is a concern about something being done or a problem, it'll just help us and everyone involved to be able to pinpoint who was, potentially, responsible for that aspect, and just so we can know and then correct the situation going forward. And, that's just important for us as we are the ones responsible. So to go along with this, there is that data security checklist, which is, as I mentioned, Appendix C in your procedures manual. And what we would like is that there, as you can see at the bottom, there is a signature component, and we would like one signed copy per intake site. So every single location, WorkNet Center or wherever else random assignment and these processes will be taking place, we'd like one signed copy per that site, and it will be signed by whatever staff person is overseeing the ATIM project at that site. And then once you do that, just review that, sign that, and then in your first shipment of forms, we have provided everyone with, prepaid, addressed FedEx forms. When you do send that first batch 2 weeks after the start of random assignment, just include that in there so we have that on record to show that, it was read by someone at each site and that you are familiar with the requirements of that. Again, as I mentioned to my sites, I don't think any of these data security procedures are out of the ordinary for any site. It's just basic information, but it is important for us to know that everyone has reviewed them and is aware of them.
Tyler, there was a request to go back to the previous page so people can see what the checklist looks like.
So yes, here's the copy of the checklist. As I mentioned, it's everyone who received a binder. Appendix C of the binders is the data security checklist. So you just need one. You can tear it out of that binder and sign that and have it signed and include that in the first shipment. And as I mentioned before, the study liaison will be sending you an email with just as I did, just an Excel sheet with the names of people conducting each of those three sort of roles. It's very likely that will be the same person, and that is absolutely fine, but we just would like to know that information. So next thing we'd like to do is just a quick reminder on the mailing schedule. I know there's been a lot of, some of the sites have been sort of, when is it going to start? There have been a little pushback, some delays, but just a small reminder that after you've conducted random assignment, you're going to make a copy of the consent to participate form. You're going to keep the copy for yourself, and then the originals will be put in that FedEx envelope that was provided, and it will be mailed. The first shipment will be 2 weeks after the first person is randomly assigned, start of random assignment. The second and that can include however many are included in that period of time. Obviously, there should be at least one because someone was randomly assigned. So 2 weeks after that, and then 2 weeks after that, so that'd be 4 weeks after the first individual is randomly assigned, will be your second shipment. And then from then on, the 15th of every month, beyond that, till every person has been randomly assigned. And the reason we're asking for those initial ones quicker than the monthly is, again, just to check to make sure that everything, that the process is going well and the forms are filled out correctly, and if there are any problems, we can address them sooner rather than later. So next is, again, another reminder about these check-in calls. These should have, again, this is something that was mentioned at the very tail end of the actual on-site training. But going forward, it's important for us to have monthly check-in calls with each of the regional areas. Again, these calls will address the implementation process, recruitment and enrollment, random assignment issues and questions. These are not, typically going to be very long calls, but will allow us to address any issues or questions that come up. Are there problems with the orientation? Are people not agreeing to participate? Things like that, so that we can sort of work with you to make sure that things go as smoothly as possible. Now, ideally, it would be great to have a representative from every intake site participate on these calls, but I know that is somewhat unlikely in some of the areas that have a lot of intake sites. So if you're a site who's doing study intake and you can't participate in these calls, on one call or a couple of these calls, it would be, what we would like is to at least be able to convey any questions or concerns or comments you have to a regional sort of contact person for the study. Just passing along saying, everything's going good from this site, DuPage County, no problems, or Will County, I'm just speaking for Collier County since that's what I'm most familiar with. Intake's been going well. We've been averaging 3 people an orientation. Everybody's been signing the forms, and then just making sure that everything is smooth and problems don't go unaddressed. So each of your study liaisons will be getting in contact with you to set up those calls. And since random assignment is in some areas being pushed back, we think it's best to just sort of establish that time and date now, so that when the random assignment actually begins, that's already in place and there's not a delay in establishing these check-in call times. So another thing that some of you may or may not be aware of is that there is a revised consent to participate form. There were, initially when we were doing the training, some concerns about specifically the third page. There was a mention of things that the study would have nothing to do with your medical services. And we listened to the concerns and completely understood that. So we went back to the IRB and they approved the new consent to participate form that does not mention anything about medical services, because as was brought up, and I think was a very good point, it has nothing to do with that. And will probably have only caused confusion and concern from potential participants for no real reason. Everyone should have been emailed a new consent to participate form, a digital copy that you can print and use. So the important thing is that all of the original consent to participate forms, the ones that are in Appendix A of your procedures manual, the ones that may have been given to you during the on-site training, should be thrown away, and you should only be using this new consent to participate form. And you can tell it's a new version because in the bottom right-hand corner, it will say approved by NEIRB on 8/27/13. So any forms that do not have that date, aren't this new form, should not be used, and going forward, this is the only consent to participate form that should be used. So just a reminder again, if you have not received a digital copy yet, please reach out to your study liaison and request that, and they can send anyone who would need it a copy so you can print these out and have them available when you do start random assignment. Another thing we want to remind everybody is just a quick reminder on eligibility. Since some of you, there were some questions initially, especially those sites and areas that were trained the earliest. Just a reminder, groups that are exempt from the study are veterans or qualified eligible spouses. And what that means is veterans can participate in the program, but they will not be participating in the study. So they do not need to sign the consent to participate form and should not be randomly assigned. Then there are two other groups that are ineligible for the program, and that is current TA participants, meaning individuals who have already enrolled in and are participating in TAA-funded training, and current WIA participants. So those two groups are ineligible to participate in the program and therefore will not be part of the study. Again, if you have any questions or concerns about this as you get familiar with it, please feel free to contact your study liaison, and they can, make sure you're not randomly assigning anyone who should not be. So now I'd like to move on to the new study random assignment procedures. So since most of the trainings, there's been some adjustments done to the random assignment system, IWDS, and the ATIM system. So what was going on now is that the ATIM system is automatically, after a potential participant goes online and fills out that information on the ATIM online application, the system will transfer data. We'll be doing data transferring both with IWDS and the SPR random assignment system. So when the online application is submitted, it's in the ATIM online application, it will automatically direct that information to the IWDS system, as you can see. When a case manager logs into IWDS to indicate that the individual is WIA eligible, they've taken all the assessments, TABE, CASAS, BEST for math and reading, and okay, this person is eligible, and it's indicated in IWDS that will retransfer the information back to the ATIM system, indicating this person is eligible to be an ATIM participant. And finally, when the intake person or case manager goes into the random assignment system, conducts random assignment, places that individual in either the program group and is able to receive ATIM services, or in the control group and cannot, that information will automatically be transferred into both IWDS and the ATIM system. So you will not need to go into IWDS or ATIM and indicate what group they've been assigned or when they've been assigned. This will automatically be done. So it's taking a step out and allowing systems, all three systems to communicate, so there is no confusion between the three systems. The only real point of entry, is going to be the participant putting information into the random assignments, into the ATIM online application, and then the random assignment system. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about how things have changed with this new interaction between the systems. So originally, the idea would, staff would go into the ATIM system and take that information. So the individual would complete the online application. The potential participant would complete all necessary eligibility determinations. They would go through whatever suitability screenings each region and or local area had done, and they had been determined eligible and suitable to participate, and they, of course, signed the consent to participate form. So you'd originally go in, take the information, or have the participant write in on the random assignment data entry form, enter that information on that form, make sure it matches, that what is on the data entry form matches what's in the system, and you'd write that information and conduct random assignment. Now, what is essentially going on now is that there's no more random assignment report, physical report you need to fill out. Instead, staff will go into the ATIM system on Illinois WorkNet and generate what we are calling the random assignment data entry report. You will take, which has a customer ID, which I'll mention that in a second. Staff will then take the information that is provided in that report, enter name, birth date, social security number, and a new piece of information called a customer ID. You conduct random assignment, and after random assignment is conducted, the system will, as was demonstrated on your site during the Insight training, they will get a letter indicating what group they were assigned, but it will also generate a results screen in the random assignment system saying they were placed in the program group, and it will generate a study ID number. And that study ID number will be then written in the upper right-hand corner of that original consent to participate form, which you will be mailing. So what is the important piece here is that there is now a customer ID and a study ID. The customer ID will only be used to conduct random assignment. From then on, all information will be used, you will only be using the study ID. So go through here. So again, just to walk through the steps again, which we'll sort of show in a second. You'll go into the ATIM system, generate this random assignment data entry report. The report will include only the information that it will include all the information you need to conduct random assignment. So I will show that. So this is an example of what the ATIM random assignment data entry report will look like. And this is the information that you will need to conduct random assignment. First and last name, date of birth, social security number, and then this customer ID number, which we have been told can be anywhere from 4 to 6 numbers. And that is what you're going to use. After you conduct random assignment, you will not need or use the customer ID number any longer. It will only be the study ID number. And the study ID number will be visible in the random assignment system. And essentially, you won't even see the customer ID number again. And so these are only, and individuals who come up in this report are only those who have been determined eligible and appropriate for random assignment.
So So Tyler, I think Jerome is ready to to demonstrate that random assignment data entry report.
Okay.
Okay, so can everybody see my screen okay? You would
Yes,
come
we
over
can.
here and you would click reports in the ATIM system after you log in, and that's where I'm at right now. And then there's a link called Random Assignment Data Entry Report. I wanted to make sure that we were consistent with what everyone was familiar with it being called. So it's Random Assignment Data Entry Report. You click this link, and it takes you over here and shows you the list of people who are ready for random assignment. If they've already been assigned to a treatment or control group, you will not see them on here. If they're a veteran, you're not going to see them on here either because the veterans are not part of this study. For those that have access to more than one region, you'll see a drop down up here. If you're only able to see one region, you're not going to see the drop down at all. The export button would let you export it to a spreadsheet along with some other fields if you so desire. Export, there we go. You see you have their name, date of birth, social security number, the all-important customer ID, and then you're not going to really need any of this other stuff that's on here. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Jerome.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and move this out of the way.
I'll stop sharing my screen. Oh, you're already prepared. it.
Okay, so now thank you. That seems, I hope everybody's clear on that. You guys are much more familiar with the ATIM system in IWDs than I am, but so hopefully that is easy. It seemed very simple. So you're going to, when it's time to actually conduct RAM assignment, you will go in that, generate that report. And then again, it's only those who are, the only people that will show up are those who are WIA eligible, those who passed the assessments. They've been, the partner's suitability determination equals yes. They've passed the drug test. And random assignment is null, meaning they haven't previously been randomly assigned, and they are not a veteran. So now you have the random assignment report, so you are ready to conduct random assignment. So I'm going to share my screen here. So can everybody see the ATIM test site? Well,
Yes, we can see your screen.
okay, good. So again, this is the test site because I don't want to actually randomly assign anyone, but this will absolutely mirror the actual operational site when RAM assignment is ready to begin and you're actually going to start randomly assigning customers. So nothing has really changed with anything else. So you're just going to log in as normal, the same welcome screen, and I'm going to add a new participant. And this should look almost exactly the same. The only real differences are the addition of these two lines, which is that customer ID number. So we'll do entering the information, again, you'll get this straight from the random assignment data entry report. Verifying everything just to make sure that there's no data entry errors. And now that customer ID number will be entered right here. Again,
And just to clarify, because Mike has a question, he says, sorry, I may have missed, is the customer ID system generated? And so that would be yes, right?
what is that? Is the customer ID generated?
Yes, system generated.
Yes, it's generated.
This is Debbie. The customer ID system, the customer ID will be generated by the Illinois WorkNet ATIM system, and it'll be visible in the random assignment data entry report. The study ID number will be generated by the RAS system and then shared back to the ATIM system.
Yeah. So yes, these will all the ID numbers will be generated. You won't have to create any numbers, unique numbers. So I've entered everything. Everything appears to match. This will all be automatically filled in. If you are eligible to do it at different areas, there will be a drop-down, so you select the right one. Your information will be filled in. The random assignment date will be filled in. So just to make sure, okay, I have the consent to participate. It is signed by the individual. And essentially, I have verified that the information on the ATIM system that the customer entered is correct, and the information on here matches the information on the ATIM system. And then, just as normal, and here you go. So, what is important, again, is now you have the study ID number, and that is what you will be writing in the upper right-hand corner of the consent to participate form before you mail it. And this is the number you will be using to identify the individual when talking with your study liaison or discussing any information. That is how we will be able to identify the study participant is with the study ID. That customer ID number that you entered before is no longer important for you in the study. It will pretty much no longer be visible, so you really won't see it again. And especially since after you conduct this random assignment system will talk with the ATIM system, talk with IWDS, and when you create that report, that individual will no longer be visible. So you will really never see that customer ID again. So the study ID is important, and again, if you use it right now, then you're going to generate the letter, but at a later time, you need to get the study ID number again. You can create the list or find the participant using the study ID, using the first last name, and again, you can see the study ID number here and all the information about that individual. So that is how the system is going to work now. So if we can go back. There we go. So finally, here is the contact information for all the study liaisons. This was provided to you during the on-site training, but I want to make sure you again have it here. And if you do have any questions, but of course we'll be addressing any questions right now. So
One one thing, if you don't mind, I
Sure.
have, there was a question about when is it going to be released, and one of the things, let me move this over just a second, one of the things that we did do as well, just to kind of explain things a little bit more, this is in your file, and Tyler's presentation, as well as this document that you see right here, is available in the lower left-hand corner to download for future reference. But also, one of the things, in order to have the random assignment work, we need to identify a couple things, and Tyler already had touched on these, and so did Jerome. But we need to be able to, identify they're eligible, which that's where you go through and update that within IWDF, which that information is updated in Illinois WorkNet. And then they'll go through the suitability process. So, and I'm just going down this list here. So we'll go down to suitability, where you'll go through your different assessments, and you have your team review, which you'll take a look at all the information, determine if the person is suitable. And once they make it past the suitability process, then they have to pass the drug test. Once they have been identified as suitable, eligible, and pass the drug test, then we pull the information from IWDS to identify if they are a veteran. And those people that are identified as eligible, suitable, pass the drug test, and they are not a veteran or a veteran's spouse, then they will be identified in the report that Jerome showed, and they can be, the report can be generated to be entered for random assignment. So, while we do have our eligibility and suitability piece, our tools, we have our webinar that's scheduled for Wednesday for releasing that. We're still doing the final testing, so tomorrow, later in the day, that's when we're scheduling to release that. So we'll be good to go for our webinar on Wednesday. So I did identify in the chat that only certain people that have been identified to access this information are the ones that will be able to pull that report. So if you go there and you're a person that should be able to see the report, but you're not seeing it, don't worry. It will be there, but it has to be released with the eligibility and suitability pieces as well, because that's what generates the report. But if you do know, we have all the lists from SPR as far as the people who have been identified to be able to access these tools. If you have any updates, please let us know, well, obviously as well as SPR, so we can make sure that you can access that information. Okay. Any questions on that piece?
This is Debbie, and I just wanted to, I'm the evaluation director, and I just wanted to make sure that the regions realize that some of you are going through these steps in a different order from others. Two of the sites, and I'm not sure exactly which you are going to be doing the informed consent and process, the study orientation and informed consent process before suitability is completed, and 3 of you are going to be doing informed consent after suitability is completed.
But I like to emphasize that really will make no difference for when you get to this final actually conducting random assignment, because as this shows, when that time comes, there will be a signed consent to participate form, and all suitability and eligibility determinations will be made, whatever order that is for your site. So all these boxes and points will be checked and in line. It just, the order may be a little different. But what I just showed, that will not be impacted by when you get the consent form or determine suitability and eligibility. Any other questions about any aspect of what I just showed, the random assignment system, the study?
like Cindy is typing, so she might have a question here. So Cindy, so the research procedure steps do not have to be in the exact order listed.
Well, I think that is a decision, that is sort of a region by region decision, and if there are questions about the process, that is something you will need to discuss with your study liaison. Ideally, that has already been worked out, and you have worked with your study liaison to figure out a process that works best that for this, and I think, there's definitely flexibility in certain aspects about how the procedures work, especially as it relates to eligibility and suitability determination, since that is very much the decision of the region and the local area. But what is important is if there are issues with the process, and that you convey this and discuss it with your study liaison so that we are clear on what process you are going to do. And whatever that process is, you are consistent with those procedures in the areas. So again, if there are questions or concerns about the process in your area or at your site, please contact your study liaison to discuss those and make sure that everyone is clear on how they operate.
Right. With the with the ATIM tools that we have available, or we're releasing, it is set up so that you'll have to identify that they're suitable, and that unlocks the drug test. But I guess it's not to say that you couldn't do the drug test earlier. It's just as a team review, just so I make sure that it's a team review process, because the model is to, have a team approach for this. So anyway, that's the way it's set up in WorkNet, so, and the ATIM tools.
And Cindy also asked about the combination of the study orientation and the, yes, that's absolutely fine. I know she's part of Collier counties, and I know we discussed that. That's absolutely okay to combine those, as again, Collier counties will be doing the informed consent before the suitability and eligibility, and that is absolutely fine. So any more questions? Again, if anything, as was mentioned, if you need the slides are available that were just shown, and the ATIM system information are available in the left-hand corner to download, and if you need them down the road or someone wasn't available, please, let them know. And if any individual who will be conducting random assignment was not able to participate, please make sure that they review these slides and listen to this webinar so that they are familiar with the slight modification procedures. And okay, one more. Okay, if there are no more, okay, I guess there's some questions coming still.
Your individual site liaisons will be updating if any revisions to your region's procedures manual are needed. We will be uploading them to the ATIM site, as Natasha mentioned.
Yes, you're correct, Susan. The adult ed, only if they're not, if they need to be in a bridge program to get their reading and math levels, yes.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we can end a little early. Again, I want to thank everybody for participating and paying attention during this. Again, if you have any questions, contact your study liaison about the study procedures, or your ATIM system contacts if there are any questions about the interaction between the ATIM system and Illinois WorkNet and how you can sort of make sure that people who should be in that data entry report are there based on their eligibility and suitability.
And we thank you all for making this study and this project possible, and we wish you all luck as you launch.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.